So I've been a sexual health coach for 7 years, and I've never actually seen erectile dysfunction or lost erections cause the end of a relationship. But this problem does actually lead to the end of a lot of relationships because of a very important misconception that most guys have around relationships and around sex. So in order to help you fix this problem, we have to talk about that. Today, I'm going to teach you how to not only avoid the ending of a relationship, but use this problem to make the relationship stronger before you even fix the erection issues. So what you probably think is that you lose an erection and then she leaves the bedroom unsatisfied, and then eventually she's going to get tired of not having a good sex life because she just wants to get off. And so she's going to either cheat on you with like Brad down the street or her coworker, or she's going to leave you and find somebody else who she has a much better chance to have sex with. So this misconception is so hard for two reasons. So the first one, basically what you're saying is that I have to have great sex in order for my relationship to survive. And if you talk to any guy who's been in a relationship for like 20 or 30 years, they'll tell you there's going to be periods of time where sex is going to be terrible. There's going to be periods of time where sex is going to be great. There's going to be periods of time where sex is just average. Sex actually goes through seasons. And so what you're basically doing with that assumption is you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to perform. You're basically saying, if I lose an erection, if I don't make her toes curl like crazy, I don't give her 100 orgasms, she's going to leave me. And it's not only not true, it's a detriment to you because basically anytime you add pressure to yourself to make sex a certain way, it's going to make the sex worse because it's going to make your erection quality weaker. So we have to remove that pressure. So the other piece about this that's really important is to understand what reality actually is. So for men, we overvalue sex because it's a scarce resource to us. So for us, we think about the importance of sex in our mind as up here. And so for women, it's actually up here. But that's actually not true. So for men, it's up here. And for women, it's really a lot lower than you would think. And if you think about this logically, the reason it's lower is because it's not scarce for women. Women can walk into a bar and pick up pretty much any dude in the bar, go home and have sex that night. They can go on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, whatever, and they can get laid whenever they want. That's not the experience that most guys have. Most of us, sex is a scarce resource. And so we value it differently. And you misunderstanding the value that women place on sex is causing you to think that it's more important than it is. And so you're putting pressure on yourself to perform when it's not necessary. But the other piece of this is because you're hyper focused on fixing your sex life in order to keep your relationship healthy, what you're doing is you're actually neglecting the thing that women actually value all the way up here because of this problem. So what ends up happening in reality is that you lose an erection, and then the next thing that happens is that you pretend like it doesn't happen. So the two of you leave the sexual situation, you're upset because you lost an erection and you think that's going to cause your relationship to end. She's upset because she knows you're upset, but she doesn't know why. And so what happens when someone doesn't know why another person's upset? Our deepest fears get triggered. So for her, she has some sort of insecurity. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be it could be my fat thighs. He's not attracted to me anymore. He's attracted to my friend Karen, or whatever it is. Whatever she's insecure about is the thing that she's now afraid about what you're upset over. And the thing that women value all the way up here is emotional connection. They want to know what's going on in your world. They don't want to know everything that's going on in your world. But when there's a problem, if you are pulling away from her, which is what most men do when they start to lose erections, they sort of go in on themselves. They sort of retreat and hibernate because they're embarrassed, because they don't feel like themselves, because their confidence goes down. But that retreating is what actually ends up causing the problems in the relationship. Because if you're retreating and she starts to retreat herself because she thinks you have a problem with her, what ends up happening is this wall, this separation starts to grow. And then that is actually what ends up killing the relationship. So in order to keep your relationship healthy, and you can actually end up making, this is so weird, but you can actually make it stronger before your erection quality even gets back, because if you start to talk about that with her, about what's going on, it starts to repair that relationship. Because if you can set her fears at ease and help her understand that you love her thighs or whatever, that you're not attracted to her friend, even if you are, but don't let her know. But if you can start helping her understand that you still care about her, that you love her, but this is a problem that you've been dealing with and it's really painful and you just need some help and some emotional support, chances are that the relationship will actually get stronger. Because realistically, what you need emotional support. And so the way to do this is to share what's happening. And I get so much pushback from guys on this. They're like, well, they bring up like power dynamics. Well, it's like giving my power away, or she's going to think I'm weak. Like, do you understand how much courage and strength of character it takes to be able to tell someone about your, like, the most intimate problem in your life? Like, this is the most painful problem most guys will ever deal with in their entire life. To be able to share that with somebody else takes a lot of vulnerability. It takes a lot of strength. Like, a coward isn't going to do that. But the other piece of it is that when you open up and share that, if she's somebody who is nurturing and caring, and she actually takes care of it, that is a very healing thing on its own. And it takes pressure off, because now you don't have to worry about what if she finds out. You two can actually talk about it openly, and you can come up with a strategy to work on it together. And so I will say that this kind of conversation, if you do it unskillfully, it can make the relationship worse. If you're like, I'm broken and my dick's never going to work again, and sorry, you're just going to have to deal with it, like, that kind of thing can end your relationship. And the type of conversation should be somewhat nuanced. You want to try and think about how it's going to affect her and try and account for that, so you can try and make the conversation as helpful as possible for both of you. It's not just you letting this pain out. You want to try and understand, okay, what's she insecure about? And if that sounds really complicated, this is the kind of thing that I help coach my clients through, because these kind of conversations, if you do them the right way, they make your relationship really, really strong, even before the erections come back. I will say it doesn't have to be the best conversation ever. Like, even if you do it somewhat unskillfully, for most guys, it's okay. But if you do it, if you're the kind of guy who doesn't think through what you say and you just blurt out whatever's in your mind and you don't take into account how she might be impacted by it, it can make your relationship worse. So I do recommend putting some thought into it. And if you're the kind of guy who's like, I have no idea what to say and I really need help with this, then, there's a link down below. You can learn about how to work with me. And like, these kind of conversations that I help guys have all the time. So the next piece of this is that with women, you don't want to just go to them and just say, here's my problem. What's really helpful in this kind of situation is if they can understand that you're doing something about it. So if you are dealing with a painful problem and you're facing it head on, and even if you don't know that your plan will fix it, having a plan and trying and doing stuff is something that will tend to make the woman that you're with feel a lot more safe. So what women really need in these kind of situations is to understand that although it's painful, you are not retreating from it. If you go to a woman and you say, I'm dealing with this problem, and then your only answer about what to do, like, she's like, okay, well, what are you going to do? If you're like, I don't know, that tends to make women feel more unsafe. And that kind of thing can cause problems in the relationship too. So it's not that you have to have the fix all figured out, but you do need to have one step or two steps or a direction saying, I understand that this is what's causing it, and so I'm trying these things, because that will help her feel safer and for you. The worst thing that you can do with this kind of problem is ignore it, because it will get worse over time. Every day that you don't take a step forward in trying to, first of all, like, fix the problem in the relationship, it will start to get worse and it gets harder to fix. Every day that you don't take a step forward trying to fix the erection problem, it will also get worse. So kill two birds with one stone, come up with a clear plan, and go to her in the conversation with that plan already in place, and then ask for input. And so if you have no idea what to do, once again, that's the kind of thing that I can help you through if we work together. So just to give you a quick recap, if you are dealing with erection problems, the worst thing that you can do is not talk about them, because that will make the situation worse between the two of you emotionally, and your relationship isn't going to end because you lose erections, but it can end depending on how you handle things after you lose erections. So understand that this problem doesn't just affect you, it affects her too. And so you have to take her into account and try and make things better for the both of you. So a great next step would be to look at the different ways that you can use to make your erections harder, and you can learn about those more right here.